Hey everyone, welcome to MT Guitar. How's it sounding? How's it looking? I think we should be all good. Trying to put the mic on the amp as well, so let me know how that sounds, if it sounds all right. I'm assuming it's all right. So, how's everyone doing today? Happy Sunday. And, let's see here. Yeah, it looks all right. Today I wanted to do a nice little live stream lesson, kind of, off the cuff a little bit on jazz blues. And I will be making some formal lessons a little bit in a little bit here that are covering a bit more in detail. But I wanted to, as I kind of do with my channel, just go over a bunch of stuff all in the span of 30 to 40 minutes or even longer sometimes. Actually, most time I think it goes an hour, but we'll see today. But I just kind of want to, go over a bunch of stuff that you can start thinking about, and we'll start to cover it in my lessons. So, I know you can't see this that well. I know it's sloppy handwriting, but we're going to cover a few things about jazz blues. All right, so jazz blues, why don't we just do a brief little discussion on it? We're basically talking about the type of blues theory that dives into jazz, right? Jazz chords, jazz techniques, etc. And jazz repertoire, right? So people like Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Thelonious Monk composed a lot of jazz tunes that were in the jazz blues genre. All right, so jazz came from blues in many ways, as well as many other things, but jazz really came from blues and sort of borrowed a lot from it, including the 12-bar blues. All right. Oh wow. Hey Francoise, it's Monday already in France. And hey Christian, nice to see you all. So the first thing I have on here is 12-bar blues, and I just made a lesson on easy blues tips and tricks. You can check it out, but I do cover the 12-bar blues, and I think I mentioned that you have to memorize it if you really want to seriously progress with the blues. So I'm not going to go over that too much, but what I'd love to do is make this a little more advanced of a lesson, assuming you already have the 12-bar blues, and talk about what we can do from there to make it more jazzy. And it's a lot of fun, right? So let's see. Best way to start this is probably to say, let's take a 12-bar blues. Now, when you're playing jazz, a lot of times you're playing in flat keys like F, B flat, even sometimes A flat or D flat, G flat. And that's because we're oftentimes playing songs that were composed and arranged in the horn tradition, right? Meaning saxophones, trumpets, especially, and trombones as well. And, those keys are in flat keys, right? Trumpet is in B flat, I believe, or E flat, and saxophones are in both B flat and E flat, depending on tenor or alto or soprano even. So, those flat keys are what we have to play with guitar, all right? And it's kind of nice because we enter new territory we don't see a lot in pop and rock songs. Just to start us off right away with some lessons here. I mean, basically what we want to get away from is the bar chords, okay, in jazz. So, let's cover the 12-bar blues, say in B flat. And if I play like more of a non-jazz blues, I might play bar chords or whatever, right, or open chords. But for B flat, I'll play these bar chords, and we'll cover the 12-bar blues, and then I'll show you right away how to do some more jazz type voicings. Okay, 1 chord for a bar, 4 chord for a bar, E flat 7, back to B flat. A little shuffle, E flat, 4 chord for 2 bars, 1 chord for 2 bars. 5 chord, this is the turnaround, 4 chord, 1 chord, and then 5 chord. All right, that was just some random little shuffle pattern, but you could do it in anything. You could do fast, slow, whatever. That would be, 3 4-bar phrases. First 4-bar phrase is 1 chord basically with a 4 chord optional in the second bar. The second 4-bar phrase is 2 bars of the 4 chord, then 2 bars of the 1 chord. The turnaround is 5 4 1 5. All right. And you'll see a lot of variations, but that's a really good thing to memorize because then we can all agree on a form when we basically play the blues, right, and play jazz blues too. So first thing we want to do is move away from bar chords. All right, so if I play the same progression without any new chords, because we're going to cover some tasty chords here in a minute, but I just want to make this a little more jazzy. All right, first off, we would want to play this B flat 7 right here without a bar chord. All right, see this? So I'm using first, second, pinky, third finger, nothing barred. I'm muting the 5th string. All right, now when I go to my E flat 7, instead of doing this, I'm going to do an E flat 9, for instance. That would be 6, 5, 6, 6. I could also do, this is fine, nothing wrong with that, it's a bar chord. I could also do a rootless chord, like this, where instead of doing this, I lift the middle finger, make it a little easier. And then for the F, you could do the same thing. You could do an F9, or you could do an F7, or you could just do this. You could also do chords down here and up there, but we'll keep it simple for now. So you did an F9, E flat 9, B flat 9, F9. So if you've got a guitar, great. Let's try this out. If not, you can always rewatch this later if you want to play along with this, or you can just enjoy the show here. But I'm going to play these chord voicings. It's nice and slow, and show you how without any new chords we've made it a little more jazz bluesy, okay, and improved sort of our chord vocabulary in the process. 3, 4. Just the regular chords, throwing in a few extra notes, but now I'm going to even go a little more jazzier, but same chords. Sorry. No new chords, just extensions of the chords for now. All right. So what we can do is expand our vocabulary of dominant chords, because I only played dominant 7 chords, so that we can play all the extensions that I was just doing, right? Including 13s, 9s, sharp 11s. I'm not going to go too deep into 13s, 9s, and 11s for this video because we can always do that later. I just want to talk about how to get going with jazz blues, all right? So, let's see. I think that covers number 1. If we take a look here, it was 12-bar blues. And I think I've made my point. You can take the 12-bar blues, and once you memorize it, you can say, all right, I'm going to add non-bar chords to the whole progression and have dominant 7s, dominant 9s, 11s, and 13s going. If you're going to do 11s, I do sharp 11s with dominant 7. Number 2, all right? And feel free to say hello. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind. And remember to subscribe. Hit the bell icon. All right, number 2. Now we're going to get into chord progressions. So if we take, say, a 2-5-1, that can be the quintessential jazz progression, right? The 2-5-1 is very famous in the jazz world as being the obvious progression that we see almost in every single jazz standard. And blues, no surprise, we can apply that, right? And this is where it starts getting a little crazy. So what I would say first is get the 12-bar blues, but let me play a song. I'll play Freddy Freeloader. This is a Miles Davis tune, and I'm going to post a Patreon lesson where I list all the tunes I recommend you look at, as well as quite a few examples of scales and chords. So check that out if you'd like. It'll post probably within 24 hours. Here's Freddy Freeloader, like it's a B flat blues. There's the 1 chord. There's the 4 chord. Back to the 1 chord. Turn around. There's the 5 chords. 4 chord. But this this time it goes to an A flat 7, which is the flat 7 chord. Just a classic blues. There's that flat 7 chord. Boy, it is such a good exercise to run jazz tunes. I mean, for one thing, it's a humbling experience without fail, because it always shows you, where you need to improve. And I'd like to play along with some backing tracks too, so I may do that if the technology permits. Hey, Mikal. Midnight over there. Wow. Yeah, I was trying to get the stream going a little earlier, but it's been very, very busy. So, hope everyone's doing well. I'm a little, might be a little lower energy on this stream because I've basically been celebrating the end of the semester. So I went out last night, saw some live music, and had a good time. But I wanted to provide a lesson for you before my last week of classes occur this week. I've got 2 more finals to give to my classes that I teach. So I'm almost done. All right, any questions so far? Let's go into 2-5-1s. I'm going at a slower pace than I thought, but it just takes a long time to really get this stuff explained. So, number 2 would be 2-5-1s in secondary dominance. All right, huge topic right there. But if I take, well, any jazz blues tune, but I'll show you a few here moving ahead. But let's say I take the same B flat blues progression, and I go from a 1 chord to the 4 chord to the 1 chord for 2 bars. I'm going to a 4 chord, and what I can do is I can say I'm going to play a 2-5-1 of the 4. 2-5-1 of the 4. Okay. Well, that would be, here's the 4 chord. So I'm going to play a 2 of that, which is an F minor 7, to the 5 chord of the 4, which is B flat 7, leading me there. All right. And then the 1 chord acts as a secondary dominant to the 4 chord, because it becomes the 5 of 1 in a more forceful way with the 2 chord added. All right, we're getting into more advanced territory. Let me know if you need me to clarify. So let's see what that sounds like. 1 chord, B flat 7, 4 chord, E flat 9. 1 chord, we'll do a 2-5-1, 2, 5 of the 4. All right. Next thing we can do is, instead of just staying on the 4 chord for 2 bars, which is great, but we can do 4 chord for a bar, sharp 4 diminished, or E diminished, to the 1 chord. Okay, so that was 4 chord, sharp 4 diminished, 1 chord, and then we'll go from there. Now, when you do the 1 chord, to make it voice lead in a way that's nice, E flat to E natural wants to go to F, so we can do B flat over F, or B flat 7 over F. Okay, and then we're at the 1 chord, but instead of staying there until the 5 chord, what can we do? All right, maybe I'll ask whoever's here. We just did a 2-5-1 to the 4. We're going to the 5 chord. What can we do to the 5 chord? And on Sunday, we don't get a ton of people, so there's just a few people online. But the show must go on, right? It's fine. So, any takers on that? How do we get to the 5 chord in jazz blues using the concept we just used on the 4 chord? All right, I'll give you this one. It's the 2-5-1 of the 5. So when we go from the 4 chord to the sharp 4 diminished to the 1 chord, we have another bar to get to the 5 chord. Actually, I'm sorry, 2 bars. So then we do a 6 chord, which is G7, and we make it a secondary dominant of the 2 chord, which will be a secondary dominant of the 5, which will then be a dominant of the 1. Did I lose you yet? Okay. So we're basically going from 4, sharp 4, 1, 6. Okay, good. Now we do 2 chord, and we make it dominant if we want, or we can just do a regular 2. Let's just do a regular minor 2. C minor 7 to to F7. Okay? And then we can go to the 1 chord and 5 chord to keep it consistent with the blues so far that we've covered. But we can change that as well. All right, did that make sense? So we went, let's cover that. We're going to start from the, let's do the whole thing. 1 chord, 4 chord, 1 chord. 5 minor, 1 dominant, it's a 2-5 of the 4. All right, let me do that again and say 2-5 of 4 right away so we can see that. 3, 4, a little slower. Okay, 1 chord, 2-5 of 4. Now the 4. 4 diminished, 4 sharp diminished. 1 chord, 6 or 5 of 2. 2, 5, 1. And then normally in the 12-bar blues we go to the 5, but we can go 1 and then a 2-5 of the 5. 1, 2, 5 of 5 to 1. It's hard to say, but it's 1, 5 of 2, 2, 5, 1. Okay, so, it's kind of hard to explain some of this advanced stuff quickly, so I should probably revisit this with some more organized lessons. But I thought you would enjoy hearing it a little bit about it. So why don't we move into, so I think you get 2-5-1s and secondary dominance for now. That was number 2. We're making good pace. Let's go to number 3, which is chords. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, and then scales, and then tunes. Why 4 diminished? Don't get it. Okay, so good question, Mikhail. You can basically lead to the well, basically you do 4 dominant, then sharp 4 diminished, and it sounds good. And the reason it sounds good, so if I'm, all right, here's the 4 chord, 4. I messed it up, but you heard the point. So the reason it works is because the sharp 4 is leading to the 5, which is in the 1 chord, which then leads to the 6. So it's just really good voice leading. We hear this bass line. Right? So that's 4, sharp 4. It's like a leading tone of the 5. All right. Good question, though. It's hard to answer. Hopefully that answered it, though. Sharp 4, 5. Just a classic blues riff. It's like that tension of the flat 5. Or sharp 4. And diminished is just what it turns out to be, because look, it's the same E flat 7 triad, but over an E. That's what E diminished is. It's like a E flat 7 over E bass. All right, so it just works with voice leading with the bass. Okay, so chords: dominant 7, minor 7, diminished and major 7, and tritone subs. So let's tackle that. Basically, you can say that jazz basically is boiled down to minor 7, dominant 7, major 7. Okay, so you could say, all right, that is true in blues too. So we kind of already covered that with the 2-5-1s, but if I do a blues in F, 1 chord to 4 chord, and then I could do, you know, those are all dominants until I get to a 2-5-1. Now the major 7 rarely comes up in the blues we've talked about so far, but you can also do what's called Parker's blues. Let me just show you what it sounds like. It starts with a major 7 chord. This is called Blues for Alice. Great minor blues. I don't even know the melody anymore at this moment, but the chord progression is here. So it starts with a major 7 and goes 2-5 of the 6. And then chromatic walk down to a 2-5 of the 4. Just beautiful. It starts with a dominant 7 on the 4. Then he does a 2-5 of A flat, but instead of resolving, it just goes 2-5 chromatically down. Again, 2-5 of the 1, but slowed down. Now instead of 1, we substitute the 6. This is all very advanced. I apologize if it's too advanced for you. 6, 2, 5, 1. Whoops, I messed that up. 6, 2, 5, and then 1, right? So F major 7, that's where it comes up in jazz blues, but I would say it's more common to see what we've covered so far. Let me play Blue Monk a little bit. See if I can remember it. 12-bar blues. Ba ba da da. A little sharp 4. Ba ba da da da. Then let's turn around. 5 chord to 1, then 6, then 2, then 5. Common turn around. Ba da 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 da. Da 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 da. I was too loud there. I don't want to blast the speakers here. Alright, so you see that was a pretty simple blues there. But we obviously were jazzing it out with the things we've covered. So that would be making the 12-bar blues play some voicings that are not bar chords. So we have more freedom to play chord melody and interesting voicings. Adding 2-5-1s, not like crazy. That song actually doesn't feature a ton of them, but when we do, it really is a nice effect. And secondary dominants tie into that. And then what we just covered is dominant 7, minor 7 when appropriate, right? Knowing the difference and when to put those in. Can you do secondary dominant? Ah, great question. Yes, you can. 5 of 5 of 5 kind of thing. Yeah. So that's a good question. Can you do a secondary of secondary dominant? So let's say I have B flat blues and I'm getting to the 4 chord of, getting to the 5 chord eventually. Okay, here's the 4 chord. Back to the 1 chord. Now I'll go to a 5 of 5 of 5, which is G7. Secondary dominant of the 2 chord, which is the secondary dominant of the 5 chord. So 5 of 5 of 5. You could think of it like that. I don't hear it mentioned with that nomenclature, but I think it's accurate theoretically, right? Okay, have I lost you yet? Maybe. That's okay. I'm not expecting this to be a massively popular lesson because this is something that is, you know, very tough, and a lot of people are not ready for this type of thing to you know, to really get it right away. So it takes time, but stick with it. Next would be scales. And then I'll probably do it, and then I'll talk about some more tunes you can play. So, oh good, I'm glad that helped. All right, not a lot of people on today. Hit the thumbs up so we can get some more activity going on the video. I'm a little beat from a long week of finals and been out seeing live music and stuff. So thanks for bearing with me. It's a lot to cover. So for scales, we can think of, you know, really important scales would be Mixolydian, Lydian dominant, and altered scale, and Dorian. Well, I forgot to write Dorian. I'll write that on the Patreon. And Dorian, all right, because 2-5-1 gives us the opportunity to play, say, well, let's take it from the first bar of a B flat blues. B flat Mixolydian will be a great starting place. I'm just going to move through these quickly. Relation of, let me take this question here. Relation of flat 7 and 5 to 3 and 1. Your thoughts? Flat 7, I'm thinking about what you're saying here. Flat 7 of 5. So flat 7 of 5 would be, like here's a 5, say chord, F7. You're saying flat 7 of that would be E flat. 2, 3, and 1. 3, so D major. And sorry, I'm not getting the question, Mikael. So maybe let me know if you can rephrase that a little bit. I can think about it. I'd love to answer it. So Lydian dominant is when we take the sharp 4 or sharp 11. It's a mode from melodic minor, but it gives us some tasty choices. Really jazzes it up. All right, and that's something we can talk about in other lessons more, but has to do also with tritone substitution. So I'll save that. Something to look forward to. Lydian dominant and Mixolydian. Just go ahead and start shedding those scales a little bit. Dorian would be great because when you do a 2-5, let's say we do B flat Mixolydian to E flat Mixolydian to B flat. Now I can do F Dorian to B flat Mixolydian. All right, and then to E flat Mixolydian because now I'm in an E flat 7 chord. All right, another scale would be altered. And that you can play altered scale over any dominant 7 if you want added tension. So if I'm playing, same thing here, 1, 4, 1. Now I'm going to do a 2-5, but I'm going to make the 5 altered in a melodic way. So I would go, here's the 1 chord, 2 chord. Even that was an altered lick because I did flat 9. So what makes the Mixolydian altered would be changing it. It wouldn't be Mixolydian anymore. It would be 1 flat 2 or flat 9, sharp 9. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. 3. Okay. And then sharp 4. And then 5. Oh, sorry, not 5. Sharp 5. Flat 7, 1. That's the altered scale. So it happens to be the 7th mode of, C flat melodic minor, just because we're in B flat. So it's rare you have to say C flat. But anyway, melodic minor, that'd be the 7th mode. Okay, so kind of advanced theory here. We don't cover it a lot. I'm definitely out of shape with talking about this stuff. It's something to work towards. So that would be scales. All right, I'll play a little more, and then I think we'll sort of see how this settles, and then I'll make some more lessons soon. So there's Freddy Freeloader, Blue Monk, Billy's Bounce. Footprints is a really fun one. Wayne Shorter. weird part here. Man, that was, yeah. So, I think I could loop that or put a backing track on, but mainly I would just want to teach you some stuff here today, so we'll see. Might end it soon. Kind of planned on a shorter lesson today, if possible, so. I appreciate you, your support and you sticking around. Let me know. Any other questions? All right, so Mikhail says 12 notes is major scale plus black keys pentatonic. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, right. 7 notes in a major scale, 5 notes in the pentatonic, which are the black keys of a piano. That's a great point. I hadn't thought of it like that. Yeah, because of these visual things can help us a lot, right? So that's a good point. That if you think about the 7 white notes of a piano, that would be C major scale. And if you think about the 5 notes of a piano, the 5 black notes of a piano, it would be F sharp major pentatonic, which is kind of funny. And you know that creates the 12 notes if you add those together. So that's a good point. Interesting. Good 12 tone. You can make a 12 tone composition combining C major and F sharp major pentatonic. Okay, so theory is something where it just makes you want to hopefully just work harder to understand it. If it's not making sense, it's totally normal. That's how it goes. Let Martini go that. Pat Martino. Ah, yeah, Pat Martino. We lost an amazing jazz guitarist recently in Pat Martino, and that makes sense that he would have mentioned that. I mean, that's a powerful thing. So he was a true genius. Listen to some Pat Martino this week. That's a good reminder for me too. So let me play. How about I play Straight No Chaser? This is a Thelonious Monk tune, and then we'll call it a day. Hopefully this has been valuable. I know it's a lot. I know it's a little advanced. Thanks for letting me try it out. I needed to practice it a little bit to teach it. So I'll have some more stuff in the future. Let me loop this here. We'll do it in F. A little F Thelonious Monk jazz blues here. 3, 4. 2, 5 of the 4. Sharp 4. 1, 6, or the 5 of 2. Here's the 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5. Okay. So we got the loop. Sorry, I couldn't get the lick in time because it starts right on the beat. So here we go. So the head would be, or the tune here. Good tune to learn. Everyone should learn. Thelonious Monk, one of the true geniuses. Just trying to play some soulful stuff. Trying to get fancy. Sometimes it's good to just stick with the basics. Just. And then you can throw in some jazz chords over your backing tracks. Just to practice that, some comping. Kind of like lead lead chords. Ah, see? Look at me. Man, I'm rusty on this guitar. I used to play this guitar all the time. But I really need to play more Gibson 335 because play some more ES 335 because it's great. I'm a little rusty for sure. I'm a little rusty in general. I'm a little tired, so I think we'll end it here. And I'm going to recharge before my finals tomorrow. I'm giving some finals tomorrow, so you know, really happy about that. Go slow with this stuff, but it's great. Phrasing, comping, grooving. Yeah, absolutely. So, great to see you. Hopefully this has been great. I'll name off a few more tunes to check out. Mr. PC by John Coltrane. Blues for Alice. Sandu. All blues. But Mr. PC, just a great tune to learn because it's not that tricky. Not that tricky. Sorry. Do it up an octave. Up to the 4 chord, minor blues. Back to the 1. Sorry, I always mess that up. There we go. And then the chords are minor turnarounds. So 1 chord, da ba da ba ba da for the first 4 bars. 4 chord for 2 bars. 1 chord. It's a very fast blues. With minor blues, we do a flat 6 chord to a 5 chord to a 1 chord. So it's a little different with minor turnarounds. We do flat 6 dominant, which is A flat 7, to G7, which is the 5 chord, to the C minor. So I'm glad I remembered to say that because, of course, we need to know how to do minor blues turnarounds, which are very similar to just regular non-jazz blues in minor. Okay, I think you're right. Do a tutorial. Yeah, I will. So good to see you all, and this will be fun to shed out some more ideas. Your homework is to practice some of this stuff. Pick one thing that interested you, and try it out, and let me know how it goes. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.